there's something very enjoyable about hearing the way they eat. Like they crunch up those branches and they just go through that buffet of vegetation that they can pick anything that they want. A little bit of grass, a little bit of bark, a little bit of tender shoots off a tree, some seed pods, some roots. I'm going to move up a little bit for you. We've just got a bit of foliage. Well, I have a very rare couple of species coming up here right now. Ladies and gentlemen, this is talk. Goodness me, I didn't know that we were going to see these today. Hello, sir.
Morning.
How are you, buddy?
Morning.
Right, mate. Hey, Bri.
Guys.
All right, mate?
It's a beautiful morning.
It's a beautiful morning. We just got lovely little breeding herd down here. It took quite a while to establish how many were there, and it's very thick vegetation there, mate. But there's some there. There's a female female feeding with her calf. There's another one there, but there's some also just down in the drainage line.
Okay, cool.
We're just
Why don't you just go down there a little bit and see if we find It's a nice thing with the elephant herds, they're really spread out, so we'll see there's always the elephant herd story with lots of different little things going on in between. So beautiful morning, huh?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful.
We had, just so that you know as well, the Kuhuma lions, their tracks cross north into Buffelshoek.
Right.
From Buffelshoek Dam.
Okay.
And then leopard tracks as well, female leopard tracks. Guys, if you maybe missed the beginning of the drive, just giving Hayden a bit of tracking update as well for those of you that are catching up as well. And then female leopard tracks, I'm guessing Karula, Buffelshoek Dam boundary.
Okay.
Heading into Torchwood, so heading further east.
Okay. All right, mate. Well, look, I'm going to carry on, and this is a perfect time to do a handover.
Yeah.
Take it away, my friend.
See you guys later.
Okay. I'll catch you up sometime soon.
See you again soon.
Okay, I'm going to go over the other side and have a bit of a squiz. Cheers, guys.
Well, just quickly show you. Hayden was just saying there's a mother and calf just to the left-hand side here. We can see the calf a little bit. It is quite thick here on the riverbank. This little guy for a few minutes. H was also saying that moved down riverbed, there's a few more. So we'll just have a quick look as well. The elephants also seem to be in a nice sort of tranquil mood. Very, very thick stuff here. Just getting into the sandy riverbed now, and those elephants just back there, very, very thick. I mean, except for that little calf, there were about 5 or 6 that I could almost see in here, but not enough that you could actually see them, if you know what I mean. So it is a very, very lush area. HD said he saw a couple more this way as well, so we're just going to see if we can maybe get another visual. If not, I think we might continue on. You know, early morning like this is really the best time to find new activity. So if you find some ellies and you can't see much of them, it's not a bad idea to say, listen, we're going to come back a little bit later. We know roughly where they are, but we're going to keep looking as well, because the first hour or so is the best opportunities to find cats as well. Just to show you, Brian's just spotting them up there, up on the bank. We'll try and show you, but just to give an idea of the kind of habitat we're dealing with at the moment. It's quite thick. And we'll come back to them a little bit later again. Maybe they've moved. Maybe we find some things before then. Oh, it's a little bit fresh this morning. It's warming up nicely now as the sun is coming up. Autumn and spring. So we have relatively warm but mild warm days. Cool mornings. Virginia, good morning. No, start that. Yeah, sorry, Virginia and Kentucky. For a minute there I thought I was getting it wrong. That's maybe where you're from. Sorry, Virginia, not to interrupt your question. I just want to see if we can see that bird up by the termite mound. That just looks beautiful, but it's a bit of a tricky angle. Right, let me try again. And now it's walked away. Birds, you know, if they don't fly away, they walk away. That was a Franklin, and I was hoping sometimes they go and sit on top of things like that to call for their morning sort of announcement. Beautiful male Nyala up front here as well. We can have a look at him just now. There he is. Virginia, you're just asking what's our temperature extremes here. In the low veld, let's start with explaining why it's called the low veld. Oh, that's beautiful. Lovely background as well. The early morning sunlight hitting those trees along the river edge, or the riverbed's edge. Being in the low veld, we're not very high above sea level. And you'll find that the higher up you go, or the sort of more extreme habitats as well, deserts for instance, you can get massive temperature fluctuations. Parts of Namibia, there's places where from the nighttime it can be -5 degrees Celsius and go up to 50 or 45 in the daytime. So you can have sort of 40, 50 degrees Celsius fluctuations. Such a beautiful antelope, this. Nyala is truly one of the prettiest, I think, of all the antelope. And this is a big mature male as well. He's in his prime now. Just looking at his coat and his horns, everything just saying that he's healthy and strong. So, you know, yeah, in the low veld, it's more sort of, I would say, you know, we don't get those extremely cold mornings. I'm sure you get occasions where it goes close to zero. And I'm talking Celsius, and I'll do the conversions for you in a minute. But, oh, look at that. Lovely light on the eye as well. Thought he was a bit calm. Nyalas are actually quite secretive antelope, but they get used to vehicles and to people very quickly. Often around the camps, around the camp area, you often see them as well. So to give you an idea of temperatures, at the moment it's about 15, 17 degrees Celsius around that, so about 62, 64 degrees Fahrenheit. And the fluctuation in this area, as I said, it very seldom goes towards zero in the low veld. The cold morning here would be 4 or 5 or 6 degrees Celsius, which is about, let's call it about 38, 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Guys, just for you, if you wonder what we're talking about in terms of Fahrenheit and Celsius, the conversion is 32 degrees Fahrenheit is 0. So 32 degrees is 0 degrees Celsius. Water freezes around there. And then anything over that, so if you're on, let's say, 10 degrees Celsius, you time that by times 1.8, so that would be 18, and you add that to 0. So 18 plus 32 would be 50, so 50 would be 10 degrees Celsius. Anyway, let's say 5 degrees would be a cold morning, and it can still go up to a relatively warm, maybe 25 or 20 or so in the day. If you take it over the whole year, the hottest it gets down here is sort of mid-30s. It can probably go up to the 40s sometimes, but on average 35, 36 would be very hot for down in the low veld. Oh, he's walking right into the sunlight there. That's what's so beautiful about early mornings. Late afternoons is the same. It's because the sun is still low, you get these beautiful contrasts and shapes. You know, you can really see into the bush a bit better in a way than you compared to midday when the sun is above us. So yeah, I'd say at the extremes, coldest winter and warmest summer, we're probably looking at about a 40-degree temperature fluctuation. But in a 24-hour space, you know, I don't think much more than 20, 25 degrees, typically for the low veld. Actually had a bit of strange weather this morning. Yeah, early morning, about 5:15 or something like that. For about 10 minutes, we had strong wind. Almost unusual for this area. You know, Brian, you've got, I forgot what, Brian has got a great sensitivity to weather. I forgot, is it your knee or your ear or what starts aching when it's raining? Or?
My joints get stiff. When a big storm's coming, my joints get stiff.
I remember last November, December, Brian was our weather station. We'd have to leave him outside the whole night. I mean, he didn't always want to. We had to tie him to the tree sometimes, but we'd leave him outside the whole night, and in the morning he'd tell us the weather.
Wasn't so bad.
All right. That's why he made a special friend, you know. Him and his thumb, they became good mates just gauging the weather. Guys, I'm just getting around a little bit. It's a beautiful morning. The sun is up. Elephants a bit earlier. We might go back to them once they come out of the thick stuff. And as always, hoping to find some cats. Because this is big cat country. Lion, leopard, cheetah if we're lucky. And then, of course, wild dogs, hyenas, all kinds of things we can find. Franklin shouting his opinion of us as we drive past. Hello, Pat. That is from Denver. Now, you guys have got some pretty interesting temperature fluctuations throughout the year. Pat, you're just asking if any of the animals in this area. I just want to have a quick look at Chela Pan, and then we'll turn around and we'll go back down to Twin Dams again. You're just asking if any animals are tagged or collared in this area, and yeah, a few. Sabi Sands, as part of its almost, I was going to say the way it runs things, don't collar or tag animals specifically, but some of the big buffalo herds and some of the ellies that come through, because they cover massive areas, might have been collared for research purposes and able to see movements and movement patterns by researchers in Kruger National Park, and they would move through this area. So you would occasionally see a collar on a buffalo in a herd, or on an elephant, normally a matriarch, or some of the big bulls. But it's very seldom you see that. And Sabi Sands, in principle, don't do that. So it's not something you will see maybe ever, or otherwise very seldomly. It's always good to check this area. Chela Pan, even though it is dry now, it is still a sort of oh, hyenas, you see? Animals still come past places. Who knows what can happen next? Spotted hyenas, and they're responding to something. They're listening, so we're going to try and stick with them. Right, you see, that's what I love about it. 1 second there's nothing, you're literally doing a U-turn, and the next thing is hyenas. I'm going to try and stick with them, although they're going into tricky terrain, but they are going towards the sort of general area that we'd last seen Q in. They just got into the bush, so sticking with them might be very difficult, but we're going to try, because they might take us to another discovery. Spotted hyena, sorry, we just always say hyena around here, but it's a spotted hyena, which is by far the sort of predominant hyena we'll see here. You see brown hyena here once every sort of 10 years. Oh, I don't know if you're going to even find them in time. I saw one going into this thick stuff on the left, heading down towards the riverbed. And I know there used to be a little sneaky way you could get down into the river from here. Let's try. See, there's still a bit of tracks here. Benefit of having 4 legs is you can just cross country it through anything. I think I'll be able to get down there. Yep. There they go. There they go. Well spotted. Let's show you quickly. If we can. It's very, very quick. Well spotted there, Brian. Just there's the movement. Okay, but they are moving. Great little vehicles, huh? best vehicle in the world for what we're doing right now. Just again, a big thank you to all the guys from Wild Earth for making an amazing vehicle for us. Alright. Come on, hyenas. Show us the leopard. Hoping they kept this direction because there's two roads. If they turned up the road, that would be one thing, but they didn't walk on the road yet, but they were looking like they're sort of going pretty cross country there. Let's go with what feels right. And now all we need is a little bit of luck. And a lot of hyena. Let's just see if they haven't turned, if they kept the general direction. Hoping that we can find them somewhere here again. There's some hippo tracks on the road. Let's see what other tracks there are. Some Land Rover tracks from yesterday. Buffalo. No leopard, no hyena tracks. Thick habitat around us here. Lots of guarri bush and buffalo thorn and acacia. This is very exciting in itself. Just bumped into those hyenas. A little bit of fun driving to keep up with them. They've gone into this thick stuff. Now there's two roads here, basically giving an idea of this specific little sort of micro environment we're in. There's two drainage lines, two little riverbeds that come together almost like a V. They join into the one that we drove into earlier. So the two of those are joining. The hyenas were coming from this way. They crossed the first one. Now on the inside of these two drainage lines, there's two roads, so like a Y-shaped road. Now we've taken this one around. The hyenas were heading in this way. I'm hoping they're going to pop out here somewhere on that side. But they could have also turned and used that road, or they could be cutting through the bush to join up to this road again. So you have to balance now. You know, we can only be on one of those two roads at the same time. So you take a general direction that they were heading in. My gut feeling is that they're going to pop out on this road rather than take that one the whole way. Depending on a lot of things as well. I mean, did they hear something? They weren't running, so I don't think they're responding to... Yeah, I don't think they're responding to audio cue there. Now, they didn't hear, you know, like that, for instance, which would be a leopard killing something. Now, that they'd run to as fast as they could because they want to get there. To me, it felt like they were smelling something. And if you feel very carefully, the breeze, it's hardly a breeze. I mean, it's more a drift of air, but it's coming this direction. So if I'm holding my hand like that, let me just feel there, I can feel it on the back of my hand now. So this would suggest that they smelled something from this area. So it would suggest that they'll come out on this side rather than go north on the other track. So that's sort of how you build things together to give an idea, let's just say, to increase your luck. Because in the end, there is still a certain aspect of luck to all of it. But as Gary Player famously said when he won the Masters, I think the third or fourth time in a row, and the guy that came second said, "Oh, Gary, you got lucky today, well done." And Gary said, "Yes, I agree. I have found that the more I practice, the luckier I get." Tracking is a bit like that. listening as well. Listening is always a good thing to do. Maybe you hear a movement through the bush or a sound of something that might help you figure out what you're trying to figure out. Let's check this road again. We just drove on it. Now, if we could find our inner tracks, I know they weren't any earlier, then we can know if they've crossed. Interesting, or I'd be interested to know what you guys think is going on here. And yeah, I think that is a possibility. I mean, they weren't running for it. I mean, if there was something fresh, as I said, if there was the sound of a kill or a overpowering smell of a big buffalo kill from the lions, they'd really be responding fast. But they were moving as if they were following something rather than honing in on it, if that makes sense. But certainly agree with you, Anne-Marie, that I think that looking for or responding to some kind of scent, which most likely would be a kill, is what they were doing. Let's get a couple of thoughts from you guys. Who might have killed here? If they are responding to a kill, we are now in the Vulture's Nest, Nyala Road Junction area. So this is a more specific question for you guys that know the area well. Who do you think might be in this area? And for those of you maybe on your first drive or that haven't done many drives with us, you don't have to guess what exact animal we're looking for, but you could guess what species. In other words, what could have made a kill to attract our hyena's attention. We're going to keep following up. I've got one track back here, looks like they crossed a bit, but walked onto the road, walked on the road a bit and then crossed again. So we're going to keep following, see if we can get more information, hopefully see where they're going to as well. In the meantime, enjoy the drive with HT. He's also looking around. Maybe he gets another surprise as well. See you shortly.
So we just got the last couple past us, that last little baby just moving off there is the last one of the herd, and there was a lot of them in that herd. We just drove off from Peter, and as we came up the road a little bit further, there was still loads and loads of elephant out here. They all gently move through, and that's the tail end of it. Beautiful thing to watch first thing in the morning, them feeding and just browsing through the vegetation, taking whatever they wish. Incredible experience to be around elephant, folks. As you know, I love elephant. We all love elephant. You always see something different. You always learn something new, and it's just a great time of the morning. Very relaxed, very beautiful sort of sensory overload for everyone. Nice. What a great start to the day. Katrina, great to have you with us. Katrina's tweeted us to find out whether elephants chew on bones like some other animals, like giraffe, and I've also seen camels do it. And I've seen elephants do it. I've seen elephants hold a rib bone and put it in their mouth and get calcium from that bone. So the answer to that is yes. I've seen it happen firsthand in Amboseli National Park. Was the first time I ever saw it, Katrina, in Kenya. Quite an incredible thing to see with a big leg bone. I think it was a femur of it wasn't a giraffe. I think it was a femur of a buffalo or something, but it did have it and it was twisting it around with its trunk. The advantage that an elephant has, it has its trunk as an appendage that it can use to push around. Is that more elephant there? No, it's not. Sorry. I see what that is. That's the Elephantus termite moundus through there. Ah, yes, one of those old things. Very rare species. You can't see it from here. It's just escaped in the foliage. Elephantus termite moundus. My mistake. Sometimes you drive through the bush and out of the corner of your eye you see something that's got the same coloration as an elephant, or a lion for that matter, and you think it's something that it's not. Triastumpus is the other one. Yeah. Trying to figure out what's up ahead here. Okay. I've got two hyena on the road up here, which is always a good sign because we might just stick with them and trail them for a little bit. Those two hyena might be trailing lion or leopard, who knows. But I just saw them, and this wasn't Triastumpus or termite moundus. This is hyena, spotted hyena. They're just up on the road ahead here. So I know that Pete was on the trail or on the tracks of some hyena. I'm not sure if these are the same two. You might be able to tell me actually, folks, because I didn't see that. But if you think these are the same hyena, I'm just going to come up gently because sometimes hyena can be incredibly relaxed and other times they can just shoot off into the bush. So I just want to go slowly. It looks like an adult and a youngster or a juvenile, but I'm not getting a visual on these because if they are a bit skittish, they'll just head off into the bush. But they can cover some ground. Try and get some angle for you here, Andrew, to see if we can see them. Yeah, they just went down. Just went down there. It's one of those things, folks. They just disappear into the vegetation. So just as we sat up there, I could see these animals. I thought it was a leopard at first, off in the distance, walking up the road. Then I saw two of them. Well, it could have been a leopard and cub, but It was way off in the distance, and it was a hyena and an adult and a juvenile, and they've scooted back into the vegetation here. And once they do that, it's very, very difficult to follow them, particularly through this vegetation here. Tell you what, I'm going to go straight up and along cheetah cut line. Let's see what else is along here. Just going to try and roll back here. Want to see where those tracks went into for the hyena. Just have a look out that side for me, please, Andrew. Just while I reverse and see if you can see any hyena tracks just going into there. What we're doing, folks, I'm sorry, I'm reversing, so I don't have any wing mirrors on this vehicle, so it's a matter of watching where we go. And Andrew's just looking out the side of the vehicle for me to see where those hyena went in. I think they were the hyena that Peter was looking for. Somewhere around here. We'll just break a small branch off a tree here, just a small one. I'll just leave it on the road. I'm just going to hop out for a second, folks. Just basically want to just leave Pete a little branch. If he does want to come back and he wants to try and find those or follow up on those, I'll just leave this little memento to say that's where they were. Right, it is getting a bit warm, so one layer comes off. Ah, look up here. He's just come back out. Incredible. Just come back out. Just as I got out of the vehicle. Okay, let's go and have a little follow-up on these boys, or girls. Just as I got out of the vehicle to leave Pete a little memento, there they are again. So that's nice. Beautiful light on them as well. So they can do massive, massive journeys through the night looking for food. And don't think that hyenas are just scavengers, folks. I'm sure many of you know this. They're exceptional hunters as well. Very, very accomplished hunters. So there's one. I'm not sure where the other one's gone. They don't necessarily have to be in a group. They do spend a fair bit of solitary time just walking around, looking for opportunities. We're just going to keep our distance for a second just to make sure this individual knows that we're not a threat, because otherwise it'll just run off into the vegetation. And the whole idea is to observe the animals as opposed to changing their behaviour. This is one of those things that I was mentioning before. I'll just back off a little bit here for a second whilst you've got a long shot there. So many of these animals use the roads as pathways, and one of the reasons for that is many of the pathways were old animal tracks or game trails. Animals would find the most efficient way to get from A to B. This one we're on at the moment I don't think is, because it's just too straight and basically it's a lovely shot, mate, isn't it? Look at that up there with that little bit of mist and haze left there. The hyena going off into the distance. Well, we'll follow him up. I just want to let let that individual have a little bit of space. You can hear those birds sounding off there. It's just gone off to have a little look in there. A lot of birds sounding off here, giving alarm calls for a predator passing. A fantastic sense of smell, hyena. And also squirrels sounding off. There's a little squirrel just up there. These are squirrels. There's a couple of birds up further. Look at this little squirrel here. Just at the top of this. So there's birds and squirrels going off all around at the moment, just from a little hyena. And that's a great sign, a great signal to us. The combination of the birds, the squirrels, to tell us that there's a predator around. They're sounding off for their own species, not to tell us. But it's a really great example here. Another great shot, just along that branch, Andrew. Yeah, beautiful, really great display. Look at that tail. There's an alarm call posture there. Tail flicking up in the air. I've still got my eyeball on the hyena, folks, so very interesting. So the combination of birds and squirrels give us a little bit of a hint, but many other animals pick up on that as well. So there'd be, over a long period of time, antelope would know that that is an alarm call as well. So they would prick their ears up as well. And it's all about that whole connection with the script of the bush. So he's just gone off there. Excuse me. Looking over his shoulder there at us to think, hey, you're not following me anymore. He's just walked onto another reserve. So this is our boundary, and we'll let that individual carry on. But how wonderful it was, just walking up in that beautiful light there. That's a nice shot, Andrew.
Thanks.
Really nice. Something about that 3/4 backlight on the animal, and he's definitely picked up something. But always good to remember that there's a chance that they could be on the trail of a leopard, or we always follow those things up. Fantastic. Off he goes into the distance, and they will just walk and walk and walk. They cover an amazing amount of ground, looking for opportunities, scavenging, hunting, and stealing other prey. Other kills from animals, as we've seen many, many times with leopards. It's like the end of a film, isn't it? Walking off into the sunset like that. Nice. just a really sandy part of the road. And lots of tracks around here. So Andrew's got a great shot of those tracks there for you. You can see. If you stay on those, Andrew, that's great. I just want to talk through something. Sand is a very, very difficult thing to get definition from. So I'm going to show you something in a minute. But that track that we're looking at is that fresh track of the hyena. And I'm going to show you in a minute. I'll just so just following that animal up there. This is the spotted hyena track right here, which we've seen. I've showed you this before, but I just want to show you how difficult it is to see those toe or those nail marks or claw marks in the sand. So it is very, very tricky to track. You have to learn how to see the impression. There's a sandy impression, there's a mud impression, and different types of impressions from the track. So interpreting what it is just is a matter of practice. And in the sand, it's always a little bit more difficult, because as the animal goes down into the soft sand and pulls its foot, the pads of its foot back up, the sand falls back into that depression, and it's not a true representation of what the track would look like in really, really wet ground or mud. But I just wanted to show you that, because all these things add up to be bits of information that we work with to find out how fresh. Now, Steph would be able to elaborate on that more for you, and he will with the walks. But it will be now a matter of looking at that track and seeing if there's a bit of a wind blowing at the moment. So that would say that if there was a wind blowing like it is now, there's a potential that a little grass seed or a piece of grass could blow into that. And if there's no grass seed or no sort of impurities in that track, you'll know that it's fresher than maybe one compared to next to it that's got grass seeds in it from the wind. So you've just got all these tiny little intricacies that Steph would probably go into much greater with you when we go for a walk. And it's all information that goes into our whole big picture of the bush. It's fantastic. It's like well, you know what? There's a very, very famous man by the name of Louis Liebenberg, an absolutely master tracker. The sort of, he's like I don't know, he's just he's a legend, absolute legend. He's written a fantastic book called The Art of Tracking. If you do ever get a chance to get your hands on it, it's a little book it's a little paperback, very, very intense read. You probably only do a chapter at a time, but he basically states that, tracking was the first science. It was the first time that humans actually went out with a hypothesis, an aim, a method, and a conclusion, which is basically going out with an idea, can or can we not have a successful hunt, the aim, how we're going to do it, the method, the aim of it, the method of how we're going to actually achieve that, and the conclusion, whether we got it or not, I suppose. So it really is the art of tracking and the science of it, and it's incredibly complex, folks, but very, very interesting, particularly when you're with someone like Louis Liebenberg, if ever you had the opportunity to. And Steph is amazing as well. So we're going to learn so much from Steph, and every day I walk out with him, just even to the car park, I'll find something that he's taught me about something. It's great stuff. Sharing knowledge. I've got a question from Gilly in Milwaukee in Wisconsin. Hi Gilly, and welcome aboard. Great to have you with us. Gilly's asking if it's true that hyena have smaller back feet than they do front feet. It's actually true, Gilly, but it's very, very hard to tell in a soft, sandy track like that. And the reason for that is that the bulk of the weight, and it happens in some dog breeds as well, domestic dog breeds, you'll see that their front paws are slightly more probably robust or wide to carry the shoulders and the head, whereas the back are just a little bit more elongated, and that does happen with many different species. It happens with elephants as a classic example there as well. But to answer your question, do the hyena have slightly different shape? They do, and you can see that, and if we do come across that in tracks that I can demonstrate that for you, I'll definitely show you. So ever so slightly, Gilly, slightly smaller on the back than the front, but fantastic question, and thank you very much for being here with us. So another really good question. These questions are coming through. Brilliant stuff, everyone. All pertinent to what we were just talking about. Do hyena have retractable claws? No, they don't. None of the canids, none of the dogs have retractable claws. It's just cats that have sheathed claws or fully retractable claws, except for the cheetah. And that's why it is quite easy to get the cheetah print, and even like more like a wild dog print actually than a cheetah print, confused. They have very, very similar shaped feet. Let me just show you that quickly, because that's quite an important one. I did bring this out the other day, but it's quite an important one to have a look at. And I'll just bring this up to you folks and show you. Very, very easy to confuse. Just stand by for me. So that is a difference between a cheetah and a painted dog. The hyena track is much, much bigger and more bold than these tracks. But you can see how similar that is, but the painted dog has definitely got a much sort of greater U shape or depression in the back pad, whereas the cheetah's nearly goes flat across. But they've both got claws. The dogs always have non-retractable claws, and the cheetahs are semi-retractable claws. So the cheetahs don't come out all the way. They use those, and most people probably know this, but I always like to throw these little things in, because if we've got people who've just started on the safari journey with us, it's really good to know these sorts of things. The cheetah's claws are non-retractable because they use those like a footballer's studs, basically. They use those for grip at high speed turns. They can still get great traction, and that's why that looks like they do. So fantastic stuff, guys. Great. Thanks you for your great question there. Bring that tablet out, folks, and show you those comparisons is because you don't always get a chance to see a perfect print. It's very rare that a print is a flat print in wet sand or wet mud, and you get that silhouette like I just showed you. So that's why it's a great tool, and you'll only get a partial print that'll display for you, that you really have to then start to try and ascertain what it is. And that's where tracking can become incredibly tricky. And as you go forth, like where Steph is in these incredibly high-level tracking abilities, they test the trackers out on just partially exposed tracks. Very, very tricky stuff. We're just going to take a left-hander and go back into Juma here. I just wanted to do this cut line to see if there was anything along here. Trying to get a look at some of the smaller roads that I haven't been down for a while on my little app here. Just do a U-turn and just go down one of those roads back in there. See what we can see. There's lots of these little roads that go off back down into Juma here on this side that I love going down because they're less travelled. They're a little bit off the well-trodden path. Take our next right back in. We'll take our way to Buffelshoek Dam. Always great to have a look at. Getting over a little bit of a flu, folks, so I do apologise for coughing and spluttering a bit, but just getting over it now, feeling much better than I was the other day. So we're going along Cheetah Cut Line at the moment where we just came. We're just going to cut back in here. Was that little termite mound back there that we saw Quarantine sitting on the other day. I just wanted to have a little quick look there. I'm going to cut back in here. I wanted to see if there's any line tracks coming out of here from that Nkahuma Pride, but Pete said they've sort of gone over to Buffelshoek, so we'll have a look there. We've got a question from Virginia in Kentucky. And Virginia, just let me get around this corner. And Virginia wants to know what's the sort of biggest sense that hyenas use to communicate. Well, Virginia, it's going to be a combination, and I'd probably say they're equally as important as each other. It's going to be sight, sound, and sense of smell, and touch as well. I mean, it's one of those things. They're such communicative animals. They've got a very, very complex social system. The alpha female is top individual in that clan. I like that name too. I like that word as well. A hyena clan. That's what it's called. And they use all those in a combination together. And there's a very, very ritualized greeting period. And the males get to a point where they're actually embarrassingly sort of they beg to the point to the female where they start to do these incredible behaviors because they would rather avoid conflict than risk injury, and it's very, very interesting to watch. So we're we're just going to head down here. I've cut down onto this road. The line were over here earlier yesterday. We left them in that block in there last night. So what we might do is just cross over to Pete whilst we're making our way down to Buffelshoek Dam. I know Pete's been here, but that's the great thing. If you just swap between vehicles, we cover so much ground, and we can see what we can find. So let's go over to Pete, and we'll see you just now.
Well, a little exciting bit this morning with our hyenas. Unfortunately, we haven't found what they were looking for yet. But who knows, maybe later today. But great following them, and great just getting that sort of little story, if you want, this morning. We're just coming up to Gari Waterhole, and we spotted something in the distance, so I'm going to try and get in on this side. Let's see if we can see. Oh, beautiful, guys. Look at this, look at this, look at this. Truly one of the most stunning birds that we see out here. Massive birds as well. They probably 1.40 meters or something like that, head to toe. In other words, they would be almost shoulder height for a sort of medium-sized human. Oh, look at that. Big wings, beautiful birds when they're flying. We saw one this morning flying when we were driving around. Always looks a little bit prehistoric when you see massive birds like this in flight. This, of course, is a stork, more specifically called a saddle-billed stork. And again, to be more specific again, this is a male and a female. Now have a close look. This is a bit like, spot the difference. I know the one bird is hiding behind the other one at the moment, but I don't want to move because they've actually stayed. They didn't fly away, so we've got a great view. So we'll just wait a bit. As soon as they move slightly, we can see them more separate from each other. Have a close look and see if you can see any differences between the two of them. In fact, you might even see it already. Keep a close eye on it. Perhaps you notice something. Both birds have got the beautiful coloration on the bodies, what you call aposematic coloration, sort of very vivid black and white markings, very stark markings. Bit of red on the legs, obviously the beak where the name derives from, saddle-billed stork. But you can actually see the difference between male and female quite easily. I'm sure maybe one or two of you have chatted about it on the Twitter feeds or the chat. Which reminds me, if you haven't been on many drives with us before, you're welcome to ask questions, or if you've maybe seen the difference and you know which one is the male and which one is the female and you want to let us know, you can use the hashtag SafariLIVE for a tweet or an email as well, questions@wildearth, but the tweet is sort of where the conversations is happening. Grooming is a very important part of daily routine for any animal. Us as well, humans, it's important to keep ourselves clean, important for health, other different reasons as well. And animals, especially birds, spend a lot of time grooming and preening the feathers, making sure everything exactly where it should be. It's a bit like your sort of pre-flight checks before you fly from Europe to Africa or America to Africa or something. You want to make sure that everything that needs to move and open and close when you're flying is working. You don't want to be halfway across the ocean and then realize, oh, I forgot to check that thing. And the same with birds. They want to make sure their feathers are in tip-top condition, neat and healthy, because that's important for the flight. They even oil or they even groom the feathers as well. And oil is maybe the easiest way to explain it. They've got what's called a preening gland. Most birds, you'll see it when they're busy grooming themselves. Every now and again, just putting their beak sort of on the back between the shoulder blades or between the wing blades, so to speak. And they get a little bit of an oily substance from there that they use. I think you might have noticed what I'm mentioning by now. The bird on the left, which would be the female, she's got the yellow around the eye. I think we're close enough to see that. We will try and get closer, but they might fly. I think we've just had some good feedback regarding the same point as well. For those of you that spotted it, thank you for letting us know. fork-tailed drongo, Montengo in Shangaan, one of my favorite birds out here. Great characters. I mean, they take on everything from eagles to snakes to mongoose and so on. Guys, thank you for giving us feedback there. Renee, Simon, and Rosie, you guys spotted the eye difference, or the difference in the eyes. Just get a bit closer again. They're normally a little bit shy birds, so you can't get too close to them. And they're obviously catching all kinds of things, storks. And these guys are around water areas often, so they will be catching little fish and frogs and things like that. But they'll also catch insects. I mean, anything really that makes for a good meal. Obviously, just judging by those legs, they can walk quite deep into the water without having to worry too much about if they need to swim or not. So they hunt in everything from the edge of the water to about sort of 2 feet, 2.5 feet deep water. Lovely setting. Gari Woodall from a different view. I think actually we might as well just continue around the edge here. As we heard from the waterhole camera, lots of elephant activity last night. You can see just looking at the texture around the edge here, lots of sort of flattened sand, ellies, and all kinds of other animals that come and drink. Let's have a quick look at this heron as well, just while we've got such beautiful light on him. Oh, he's going to fly away a little bit. Storks still walking around. I'm going to try and go around them. In fact, maybe we should we'll go up the side here, we'll go up the right-hand edge. Also notice there, Georgianne, if I'm getting the name right, that the male has a bit of a wattle under his beak. Well spotted. We're going to leave the storks to stalk around some more. And I want to go check the little warthole on the other side as well. There's another small warthole to the other camp, but quite often the elephants like to drink there because it's a water that gets pumped water as well, so it's nice clean water. We'll have a look there, and then I think we'll be heading down towards Treehouse Dam. So look around a bit, see if we don't find any signs from Kunuma, the young male leopard that's been hanging around that area. Let's see what we can find this morning, or what else we can find this morning. No leopard tracks here. Hyenas that walked here last night, one hyena at least. Just left Gari Waterhole. We're now going to go around, see if there's some activity maybe at the little waterhole drinking hole in front of Gallagher Camp, which is the other camp. They've got two lodges here in Juba. The Boitilla Lodge, which is sitting on the bigger waterhole of Gari, or Gari Waterhole. The Boitilla Waterhole, or Juma Dam. There's a sort of few different names we use for it. Dam. And there's a pan in front of the other camp, which is called Gallagher, which is named after a beautiful little animal called a bush baby. bush babies look a little bit like Ewoks. If you know what an Ewok looks like. Ewok, I was going to say it looks like a gremlin, except not at all.
Small furry bear.
Small furry bear. Hey, I'm actually going to stop for this one. Guys, we, as you all know, what Wild Earth has always done and always will do is giving you a perfectly realistic, live, immersive experience into the bush. We're sharing this. I'm not going on game drive with a camera. You're not going on game drive with some strange random person talking to you. That's the great thing about this, is we really get to share experiences, we really get to share friendships in many cases, and we certainly get to share the mutual moment experience of being in the bush. And that's brilliant. For me, this is personally hugely exciting. I've always been a big fan of it. But one of the things in the bush that we have done and that we're going to do more of again, and I'm just as excited about it as you, is to get out on foot. Now, when you're driving along and you get a track and you have a quick look and you come back to the car, that's one thing, and it's also interesting. As soon as you step onto the ground, as soon as you touch the earth with your feet, there is a little bit of a heightening of senses again. But to walk around in the bush, to go for 10 minutes, half an hour of walking in the bush, tracking things, trying to find some of these big animals we so enjoy seeing, is not only hugely exciting, but it's also a very special experience. It's a very visceral, a very intimate, a very sensitive experience to the environment. Your adrenaline goes up a little bit, your senses heighten, you hear better, you see better, you smell better, and you also understand better. You get to touch things and look at things that you might not have noticed from a vehicle, just because of not only the physical, but also the mental space you're in. So walking is very, very exciting. And I've always loved it. Many of you that have been on safaris have loved it, I know. And Scott, I know, is a big fan of being on foot as well. He's on camera, and it's a very special way of doing camera. Herman can certainly attest to that. And Stefan, who I only met a week ago when we came out here, is a hugely knowledgeable guy, a hell of a nice guy as well. Sorry, I meant to say a heck of a nice guy. That slipped out. But a really, really nice guy with phenomenal knowledge. Stefan has got knowledge that many, many guides can only dream about. You know, he's forgotten things that people are still learning. But not only that, he's got a great sensitivity to the environment. I've had many talks with him now, and apart from being a very nice guy, you meet people and you know that they've got an understanding as well of the environment beyond just things that you've learned. You know, it's oh yeah, he just said, the Americans, Native Americans said that you get a sensitivity to nature if you live close to it. So Stefan is going to show us more of what's going on foot. So I just want to hear that again. I've just got a bit of information there. So maybe I did that a bit long, but it's really a fascinating and great experience to be on foot. And we're going to be joining Stefan very, very shortly. Let's just make sure when the right moment is.
Well, hello, and welcome to the Sunrise Bushwalk with myself, Stefan, and Scott behind the camera. And we've literally run into this area. We were busy following up in the area for some predator sign, and while we were sitting there in the bush, we were listening to kudu's alarm calling and impala giving alarm calls, and Scott and I literally just as fast as we could made it into this area. When we got here though, the impala and the kudu had stopped calling, and so now what we're doing is we're sitting and we're waiting to see if we can hear anything else. So far we've got some squirrel calling on our right hand side, we've got some impala calling on our left hand side, but it doesn't sound frantic enough. So Scott and I decided that we'd show you something that we found over here around the pan, which is quite interesting. While we wait for the bush to tell us what's going on, we thought that we'd show you. It's a little plant that grows on disturbed areas, and as you can see from where we're sitting at the moment, it looks like a big mud puddle, and that's exactly what it is. It's a wallow, and this particular plant likes to grow around wallows. It enjoys areas of disturbed soils, but it's got quite an interesting use. The local people strip the leaves, and they use it for a variety of different things, but the most interesting thing that they use it for is a type of soap. Now, in this wallow, I've got some water that's left over, as you can see, quite muddy and disgusting. And I'm mixing some of this water with this plant, and while I'm doing it, as you can see, it's becoming increasingly more slimy. Have a look at that. That's just all the soap. It's called saponins, and it's coming out of this plant. There's quite a few plants actually that have saponins, but this is the only one that I know of that grows in this particular area. Now, you can wash your clothes with this. You can also wash your hands. They make for actually quite a lovely hand wash. And it washes off quite easily as well. So once you've finished, you clean your hands. Well, as much as what you can anyway. And then you carry on. Now, what I wanted to show you is where it gets another name for itself from. And I dug around on it, and this interesting thorn, as you can see, you've got two horns, and it's called a sheep's thorn, or a devil's thorn. And this is exactly made for stepping, the seed itself is actually made to be picked up by animals with cloven hooves. They step on it, it sticks to their hoof, and they walk. As you can see, it's quite aerodynamic, for lack of a better word. And then they scrape it off, and that's how the seed goes from place to place. So quite nice, eh? Now, we have been hearing a lot of alarm calls around. We're going to be following up on these alarm calls. It sounds quite frantic at the moment. I'm glad that we stood by here. I'm quickly going to wipe off my hands. I'll just go again with your alarm message. We're live.
So we've just done a complete circuit of that area up around where the lines were, and exactly what Pete said. The tracks go over into Buffelshoek, which is the property, the reserve next to us here. So they may come back in. We'll keep our ears open during the night, that's for sure. And there's a lot of people that have intelligence that can tell us what's going on. Just going to see what that is on the road up there. Right off in the distance, Andrew, you might see just standing on the road. It might just be Impala, but it's always good to have a look.
Could be maybe a kudu?
It's a kudu, that's exactly what it is. So a couple of kudu crossing over. We might just go down there and have a little look at them. One of my favourite antelope, kudu. So off in the distance, your naked eye as a human being has a tendency to play tricks on you sometimes. You want it to be, you think, oh, is that a lion or is that a leopard or whatever. But a lot of the time it's antelope, and a lot of the time they're as important, as beautiful to go and have a look at.
Being all these things we're doing, there's some nice fresh hyena tracks on the road, guys. But just to get back to that walk, I guarantee you over the next while, as the walk becomes more of more a part of this experience, you're going to love it. There is just something different about being on foot, just the way your senses and your whole being react to your surroundings. But we will get back to Stefan and Scott out there again. For the moment, we are... check. Always, whenever you get onto a new road, it's always good to just give a quick check. You know, are there any fresh tracks? We are slowly heading still in the direction of Treehouse Dam. I want to go look around there for anything really, but still having a hope for Kunuma this morning. It's been 2 days now. I'm going to get withdrawals if I don't see him. My favorite young leopard in this area. And of course, anything else, because anything can happen when you're live in the bush. You never know what's around the next bend. Tracking is a very interesting thing in so many respects. Catherine, you're just asking how would you track an animal on hard sort of clay soils? Let me just try and think which angle to start that question from. Sorry, Catherine, I'm just looking as well because there's no leopard tracks, but there's a couple of tracks around just to keep in mind. I just heard of Impala coming up here on the left. We'll have a couple of minutes with them. But tracking, obviously the footprints itself, that's the first key component of tracking, hence it's called tracking. It's the actual tracks. But then, just going to go a little bit closer to them. Morning guys, that's a beautiful setting. Lovely herd of Impala. So if you are following something, like let's say busy tracking a leopard for this instance, and it is walking along sandy soils and you can follow it and you can get the signs, the physical tracks, maybe where it's scent marked, maybe where it's scratched a little bit in the soil for marking as well. And you get an idea of what the animal is actually up to. In other words, this leopard is busy hunting. From the way it moves, you can see it's using cover. Or this leopard is busy patrolling his boundaries in the case of a dominant male. And you know that again because of the scent marks and things. All those things you use to build an idea of what is the animal up to, what is he doing, where is he going. Also, if you work in an area, you live there for a while, you get to know certain animals, certain trends and patterns they have, the same as us. You can predict some of it from that. So you use all those things. So if you're following a track and it gets to hard clay soil, you wouldn't necessarily follow the tracks across it, but you would get an idea of, well, this leopard is heading that way, so I'll go check that side again and see where the tracks come out. And at the same time, for someone that's learning to track, you need a nice big track in sand so you can see what animal it is. But the better you get at tracking, you might just see on the clay soil just a little smudge where this clay is slightly different color from the rest, or where a leaf got squashed into the clay and it hasn't popped out again. Just little signs that might give you indications. Well, so there really is, as I said, I think earlier this morning, there's a certain amount of logic to it, the basic building blocks of tracking. Then there is certainly a massive amount of art to it. In other words, once you become someone that spends time at it and works at it and practices it, you will get better at it. And then there is an element of just sheer magic with it as well. You just get people that have an understanding of something. The same as, let's compare it to cooking. Anyone can do the basics of cooking, and then you can perfect it into an art, but then you get the artists that just have that little feeling, just that flair, adding that little bit of a herb or that extra half a slice of tomato, and that makes a difference between a very good dish and a great dish. And the same with tracking. You need a combination of all those things. There's the male impala. We saw him yesterday. He's following the females around. I think we're going to leave them. They're walking away a little bit. Still have that hazy sort of horizon skyline there towards the east. Bit of wind as well. It's feeling a bit more wintry today than it has since we've been here. Just get that sort of wintry wind. It's not cold, but still cool enough to have a jacket on, so also means animals can still be active. Animals that might have in summertime settled down now already. Lions if they were busy hunting, or leopard or wild dogs that were busy running around. Animals that would say, well, it's getting hot now, I'm going to slow down, find a place to rest for the day. They might still be active a little bit later in the day because it's nice and cool. More rhino tracks. Continue on, and animals we haven't seen a lot of, you will be seeing them with Hayden. Enjoy it. I'll see you back here this time.
Well, folks, we just pulled up here, and two of my favourite animals, well, one of my favourite animal, one of them is a zebra, Birchall zebra. Just happens to be two here, that's what I was meaning. Goodness me, I haven't seen them here for all week. The numbers have definitely changed compared to when we were here in November. And a lot of the reasons for that is that the grasses are changing and they're moving on. But we've got two individuals here, beautiful, beautiful creatures, amazing design. And I often stop at the simple things, folks, just because when you do see a lot of the one animal, impala or zebra or anything else, buffalo for that matter, we have a tendency as human beings to give that cursory glance. And I always use that term, cursory glance, because it's like, another zebra, another impala. But you know what? Sometimes it's just great to stop and just, if they're also grazing comfortably, what a lovely time it is to see. You can see that magnificent pattern. The most standout feature of the zebra, which scientists have got many different theories of why this occurs, but one of the theories is just that when they are in that big herd situation, a lot of animals running with those stripes on them makes it more difficult for predators to figure out. But I don't know. I think it's still a bit camouflage, because you really do they disappear into the woodland very quickly and very easily when you're on foot walking. You can see zebra, well, they see you before you see them normally, but they really do blend in. Even though they might look striking as they are right now, it's very, very easy to lose them. So they're much more active during the day than they are at the night. Just got an aircraft leaving one of the lodges, folks. That's probably what you can hear in the background. If you've got any questions, please feel free to send through those questions via Twitter. You can tweet us at #SafariLIVE, or you can send questions through to us on email at questions@wildearth.tv. That'll be the way to email us. Be lovely to hear from you if you've got any questions. I often see zebra, the difference between them at day and night, and you really do see it when you drive through somewhere at night. They spend much more time in open sort of pasture land during the night just to make sure that they stay a bit safer. Moving a lot more during the day when they've got their greatest sense available to them. That's their sense of sight combined with hearing during the day, but at night it's mainly just hearing and sense of smell. they often just lie down, and they can just lie down and lie flat on the ground asleep, resting, but they normally have a pair of eyes standing, watching, like a sentry. Just lovely to sit with them and watch them graze. They're not moving on too fast, which is great. That's why I'm sitting here, folks, and it's just lovely to watch them. We don't often see zebra at this time of the year, so a real treat this morning. Very special creature. Has to be one of the most incredible patterns of all the hoofed animals. Giraffe and zebra pretty up the top there for extraordinary markings. The real characteristic tail swishing there. Really annoying flies on their rump. Always keeping alert. When I was working in a zoo, I looked after zebras for a very long time, and they're great creatures, really great. I had the privilege of seeing a foal born, which was quite an experience, and they are pretty much ready to rock and roll, ready to run, not soon after they're born, after about an hour or so. They're on their feet and they're ready to go. I'll roll down for you, Andrew, in a second. I just want to see that we don't startle this one, because I don't want them to run off. Excuse me, please. It's okay, my boy. It's okay, it's okay. Just wanted to move forward a little bit to get you a better picture. But it looks like he's coming back over onto Juma, which is interesting. So we might have a little bit more time. Oh yes, the quintessential moment is about to happen, folks. There it is. I won't say it. I'll let you just think it. Beautiful. So Helen, welcome aboard. Great to have you with us. You've just tweeted us a question about whether either of these individuals have a wound on their left rump, and the answer to that's no. I know that there was an instance recently where Brent saw an individual with a nice big slice down their rump, and that is unfortunately definite, or more than definitely, a line. Where as the line goes to grab that tail end or that back end, those hindquarters with its claws, sometimes the animal will kick out, maybe injure the line, but the line will still make contact, and those razor-sharp line claws will leave a nasty wound. I've seen it on many a zebra. The old sort of war horses that we have. I'll just let this individual pass before I start the vehicle, so they get comfortable with each other. We don't want to split them off. They're beautiful creatures. And this plains or Burchell zebra has that shadow stripe. And you'll see that up here, whereas there's other species. There's the Grevy zebra, there's the Hartman's mountain zebra in Namibia. But this one, they don't have a shadow stripe, whereas these guys have this shadow stripe. You'll see that urinating there on the same spot, just a little territorial marking there. So they could be waiting for some females to come through. You'll get that shadow stripe on the animal. And that's the little sort of paler stripe in between the darker ones, which is a great indicator that it's Burchell zebra. I'm just rolling down here, and I'll get you into a nice position, Andrew. I was hoping not to have to start. Got a question from Elizabeth in Minnesota. Hi Elizabeth, welcome aboard and great to have you with us. Elizabeth's asking about that sort of twitching that you see, that sort of spasmodic twitching that the animals use. And look, you're asking that it looks a little bit painful. It's far from it, Elizabeth, I assure you. It's a mechanism that they have that they use to get rid of flies on their body. Very muscular animals. And that will be a mechanism that they use just to try and get away those pesky flies. But these are two beautiful, beautiful stallions. Not. I think. I'm sorry. Let me just double check. I think one's a stallion. I'm just checking out to see the other one now. I couldn't quite see that. I'm sorry, one's a stallion. I do apologise. A few war wounds on this boy as well here that we've got in our vision on the left facing us. I don't know, they might be bachelors. I'm just trying to make out the other. The males have got, young males look similar to the females, but when they become proper stallions, you can see when they're right next to each other, they're quite chunky compared to the females. This maybe actually is a female. I do apologise. We just pan over to that other one, Andrew. It's some lovely oxpeckers have just landed on it. I'll just move down a little bit. lovely oxpeckers there, doing what they do best, holding on to that hair, and with those modified, really, really sharp little claws, and sort of just mousing their way, like they creep along like a little mouse along the animal, and they really do get any parasites or pesky blood-sucking parasitic infestations. So it's actually a stallion and a mare. She looks like she's heavy in foal, actually, that one that we just had. But apologies about that, I just couldn't quite see from the angle I was on. So we've seen some beautiful zebra, which is a great one. I haven't seen zebra all week. But for the minute, we'll sit with them, watch where they go, and if they move off into the bush, we're just going to carry on and cut back in. We're going to cut over to the guys on the bushwalk. So we'll see you just now. I'm sure they've got something fantastic.
Well, welcome back to the bushwalk with Scott and myself, and what a lovely surprise. We bumped into some buffalo here. Now, Scott and I have been following up on alarm calls of kudu and impala for the entire morning. About 45 minutes ago, we heard alarm calls of kudu in this area, and we made our way into this area to see if we could come and find what was disturbing them. They've gone silent, and just as we were busy combing through the area, we bumped into these buffalo. Now, it's for precisely these moments that I carry a rifle, as you'll notice. We're far away from vehicles and we're far away from a lodge. And this is essentially just a piece of safety equipment, very similar to a safety belt or a car's airbag. And, you know, while we hope we never use it, I, for one, am quite happy to have it. So they big, these guys, you know. They don't seem to be too worried about us, but like with all dangerous animals, you want to try and maintain a healthy distance from them. They're watching us, we're watching them, but we're definitely not going to be going any closer. In fact, Scott and I are going to be making our way away from these buffalo. Where the source of these kudu calls and alarm calls came from us, we think we heard these kudu calls. So we're going to be walking into the bush very carefully, and we're going to be keeping our eyes on our back trail, making sure that these guys can't get us. All right, let's carry on. So myself and Scott have come into this area. We're trying to make our way away from the buffalo, perpendicular away from them. And this is very, very close to where we heard those kudu giving alarm calls a bit earlier this morning. Now, while we're on foot, it's quite thick in here. We were also on foot, and because we didn't have the disturbance of the car engine, we were able to hear these kudu giving alarm calls. And isn't it wonderful that you can join us on foot while we come and look for the cause? So we're going to be quite careful. I want to check wind direction the whole time. I'm using my trusty Scott sock for that. It's blowing directly into our faces, which is a good thing. Let's snoop around a bit. I'm being quite wary, keeping my eyes scanned. It's important. It's important to scan and to listen. The bush is telling us all the time that things are happening around here. They've told us that there's a predator here via kudus giving a bark. You never can tell what you're going to find. Okay, I've got what looks to be a kill here. As you can see, we've definitely got a dead animal. Yeah, I mean, just gonna have a look with my binoculars and see. It's a kudu. Can you believe it? Now, the things that kill kudu, lion kill kudu, leopard can kill kudu. I don't see any lions here. I mean, I didn't hear anything. They're not growling at us. But I think what we're going to do, just make sure there aren't any lions lying here in the shade. And then we're going to back out and we're going to call Peter or Hayden. We're going to call one of them here. And he'll take you closer in the vehicle. But myself and Scott, we're just going to make a quick recce here just to make sure that it's an attended carcass. This time of the year, animals do die of disease, and we just want to make sure that it's not an animal that's died of a disease. So we're just making sure that this kudu hasn't died of natural causes, which is why we are walking around it at the moment. This time of year, drought conditions, kudu and impala do definitely like dying from natural causes, dry times, disease, anything like that. I don't want to approach the carcass too closely in case there is a cat here. Doesn't look like there's anything here, although we have I've got growling to my right. Okay, so folks, I've just heard some growling coming from that bush over there now. That's a clear indication to me that there's a predator around here. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be slowly backing out, and we're going to be calling in a vehicle. So this kudu definitely didn't die of natural causes. We've definitely got a predator here, guys. So, wow. So, we've now made our way out. Peter or Hayden, come in. Hey, Peter, if you copy me, we've got what looks to be a kudu kill with, we didn't see it, but we definitely got ground. Probably 250 meters into the bush from Philemon's.
This is very exciting for us. Got the call a bit earlier saying that there might be some exciting news. Stefan and Scott are tracking, and knowing what you guys know now, I'm very excited as well. We are very close to there. We're just waiting to get the final confirmation for them if they did get a visual or not, which again you've seen before us. So I'm Looking forward to getting a look myself now. Stefan should be somewhere in this vicinity. Ah, there we go. Just look down that way, guys. There you can see. Alright. There's Stefan, we've got him. I must admit, I'm very excited to see Stefan and Scott. And also about what we're going to see, what they found for us there. That's really awesome. Really, in the end, getting on foot and tracking things down, there's a great adventure aspect to it. Also one of the best ways to find these animals, so that's amazing. Also great to have the first live experience of this shared experience. Let's try and unwire myself here. Guys, just in case I need to talk to you, I'm going to step this.
Female kudu kill, which is just on the other side of this bush.
Okay.
We heard growling coming from that Combriton.
You've had visual on the road?
No, the kudu, yeah. We were just walking out to make sure she didn't die of natural causes or anything.
Okay.
Growled
Oh,
at,
okay,
so
awesome. So you found the carcass in here?
yeah, we didn't see anything, but definitely that bush is angrier than
Is it?
most.
It's not just the bush, it's big leopard.
Something's there, yeah. Don't know, didn't get
It's not a
visual,
leopard tortoise, perhaps.
No.
That's amazing, huh?
So we're going to head out. Leave you to it so we don't disturb it. Good luck. Hope you enjoy.
Also,
let us know what you find.
And you don't know if you know the odds of like just being able to run faster than the slowest person. I mean, I've seen Scott running fast, but he's carrying lots of gear there. Scott, awesome. There's so straight to start this. It's a million, huh? Guys, that's so exciting. Sure. Just grab this. Sorry, I'm just trying to plug myself in so I can hear the needed information. Maybe couldn't hear quite everything we were saying there because we are speaking quite softly. Just to say again, if you couldn't follow, Scott and Stefan came in here, heard some calls, alarm calls, found the area for it, and then didn't see the leopard but heard it. And I'm going to try and see just now. You know why I want to keep saying Trevor this morning for Stefan? He reminds me of a guy called Trevor that did that as well. But Stefan's saying that they saw the carcass and it looks like a kudu carcass. They had a look just to make sure it's not maybe a random sort of coincidence. And they didn't see the leopard now, but they could hear, as we were joking, they could hear a bush that seems to be speaking leopard. So we're going to look around here. Oh, you know, that being on foot is just great. I mean, just being part of this. I mean, I'm in the vehicle. But for myself, I can feel my adrenaline going up a little bit. So you can imagine the guys as they're tracking into that fresh track where you've got to smell something that tells you you're right close to it now. Always amazing. Let's see what we can find, guys. Scrubby bush around here. Let's look around carefully. Oh, there's the carcass. There's the first part of the story. Well, of the hunt story. The first part of the story was Stefan and them finding this. Hugely exciting on so many levels. I think what happened is as Stefan and they were coming in, following up on the sort of bits of information they received from. Oh, look at that! Yo! video. Amazing how these guys blend in. Just look there. Incredible, the camouflage, huh? And keep in mind, we had a very strong suspicion whereabouts to look for this leopard. Just to sort of bring you in on the story, if you've maybe just joined us, we'll show you again just now. On the left-hand side, there's quite a large kudu. I'm very impressed. A big kill for this leopard. Let me show you that. And the guys are coming in here to follow up on the sort of the bush information they received, the sounds and the tracks and the things all put together. Obviously coming in on foot, the leopard would have seen them. They're very aware as well. He would have just moved off, as we can see now. He moved off about 30 yards and left this carcass here. But this is amazing. This is a massive, massive prey for any leopard. Even a mature male of 5-6 years would still be... I mean, that's a young but adult female kudu. That's probably, I'm going to estimate it at about 120 kilograms, at least twice, if not more than twice, the weight of the leopard. He's had a good meal already. He's gotten into the intestines. He would have eaten some of the good bits, liver maybe, some of the big sort of chunky meat areas around the hindquarters. So he's already had a good meal. Let's go closer to him, see if we can confirm which leopard this is. But that is a very impressive kill for any leopard. Never mind one of the young males. Hey, you beautiful thing. I was hoping to find Pneuma in this area, but this is quarantine. I think. Let's just make sure. Yes. As also for you that know this leopard well, help us with the ID there to confirm it for us. We use the whisker spots, the facial markings. But after a while, you get to know them even just on sort of how they look, you know, just the facial shape and so forth. But this looks like quarantine to me. One of the two young males. And just to stress the fact again, I know there's been sort of comments about these young guys catching smaller prey. That's typically what young leopards do. They catch whatever they can really in the beginning while they're still gaining experience. They are independent of their mother now, even though he is still staying in her area. So they still have the protection to an extent of staying in her area, and if the big dominant male came through here, which is Mvula, which is their father, they should have a bit of a break from him. But very, very soon they will be totally independent. They will be pushed off. And just heartening to know that this guy, at 2.5 years old almost, is capable of killing a kudu cow that is at least twice, maybe even approaching 3 times his own weight. So, well done, full belly. Too big to take up into a tree. So the next challenge would be to try and keep this food, because hyenas, lions, other leopard, even wild dogs potentially, all animals that could steal that food from him. But that's very impressive. And how exciting to not only be looking at a leopard, but to have found this through the teamwork, the different guys out here, and more specifically through the skill and experience and steady nerves of the guys that are out on foot, Stefan and Scott. And I know from your side as well, guys, this is very exciting that we're going to be getting you into the bush on foot more often as well. It just gives you a deeper appreciation, deeper understanding of the bush, just by being able to look at the tracks and look at the thorns on the thorn bush, or the leaves on the tree and how it works, or the berries on the bush when it's fruiting. All those little things just give you a deeper understanding of nature and of the environment around you. But ultimately, being on foot is also hugely exciting, because you might track yourself into a leopard on a kill, or a herd of elephant, or a couple of buff just taking it easy in the shade. And that's all the exciting, the adventure, the rush aspect of the walk, combined with a very sensitive ability to learn about all the small things as well. So being on foot truly is a lovely experience, and I'm very excited that this is coming back into the experience for everyone. So on all levels, an exciting morning for us. Let me maneuver a little bit. I was going to say maneuver a little bit. That would be maneuver and move in one word. So let's maneuver a little bit. Quarantine seems happy in the shade there. He's got lots of food just there. Too big for him to move. That's the one problem. That could be too difficult for him to put up in a tree. But it's just, maybe we can get a slightly better look at him while he's having a nap. What a beautiful cat. After last year, Ethan and myself, my wife, we were referring to them as Brad and Orlando. Quarantine reminding us a little bit of Brad Pitt. He's got that classic square jaw, great eyes. Whereas Kunyuma is a little bit more sort of prettier. Kunyuma could be in the area as well. In fact, this would be fascinating. I was saying earlier, you could have things like a hyena, wild dog, lion potentially arriving and taking this food from him. But there's actually as good a chance, if not a better chance, that his brother might show up here, and that would be very interesting to see. They are now independent of each other. They don't hang around together anymore, but they obviously know each other well. They grew up together. So it would be very interesting to see if Kunyuma was to show up here. Would they share the kill, considering that it's such a large kill? So who knows? Maybe this morning still. I would definitely not miss the sunset safari, because we have a leopard story happening. Guys, thanks for the confirmations there of this ID. You guys agreeing that it is quarantine. George Ann is commenting there as well that this is the first time that you've actually heard quarantine growl. It's very important that we realize animals, or wild animals, react very differently to people on foot as opposed to us in the vehicles. With the vehicles, they get used to the shape of the vehicle, the presence of the vehicle. They don't associate that necessarily with the traditional primal human being on foot. Keep in mind, for many millions of years and for thousands of years, we've been competing with each other in some way or another. So innately, predators, or all animals, but even predators, are afraid of humans, or wary of them at least. Around here, they get used to it. He's not upset. You can see he's totally relaxed. Stefan and them walking into this area wouldn't have had any difference to his behavior other than that he growled and ran away a little bit, but he's not going to be upset about it the rest of the day. And it's also important to know that it's normal for different species to interact. If hyena had walked in here, they might have tried to steal that food. If lions had walked in here, they would have tried to kill this leopard. So people walking in a sighting like this is just a great experience for all of us, and something that really is not a problem or a threat in any way to this leopard. But it doesn't mean that he's not going to react. Oh, this is awesome. On so many levels. Look at that coat, even just lying in the wide open in front of us. It's still amazing how they blend in. If we just look at sort of the wider view, obviously it is getting brighter now. We've got the sun getting harsher, so your contrasts are much harsher. You can see the sunlight outside very bright. But just look at that. Keep in mind, we are at the moment, I'd say about 6 meters, let's call it 20 feet, if that, away from this leopard. And you could so easily walk right past this. If you didn't hear the little growl from the leopard, or smelled the carcass, or heard the squirrels calling, or found the tracks, if you were just walking randomly through the bush, you could just walk past this without even knowing about him. They are truly one of the masters of camouflage leopard. In behavior, in how they do things, in how they move, in how they approach the environment. And obviously that coat, that dappled markings or the rosettes we get on them, and this leopard didn't decide to put that on this morning. Leopards don't change their spots, as you know, but it certainly took a long time to evolve into this perfect camouflaged coat. Oh, look at him. Beautiful. This is beyond awesome. I've just said now that on so many levels this is very special. Very excited that we're bringing the walk into the experience again for you on all levels, from the small things, the tracks, the flowers, the trees, all those little things you can learn, but also the excitement of it, the fact that you can actually find a leopard or an elephant on foot. And then to share that with the vehicles and bringing it all together, you know, it is getting closer and closer all the time to all the different experiences you can have on a safari. And that's what we're doing. So fantastic. Also to see this leopard. I know this is a particularly special leopard for many of us. Quarantine in Puyuma. The boys of Karula, which is a leopard that I have long history with and have a lot of time for. And then the fact that it's happening right now, that we're sharing it, is something that, no matter how many times I've done it, for me this just is beyond cool. So I have to say a special good morning, and so nice to have you in the vehicle, as I know you are very often, Scuttable. My wife Leishna is on drive as well at the moment. She's got a special place for these leopard and for Karula. She knew them well back then. So nice to have in the vehicle. Very nice. Glad you're enjoying it with us. Oh, look at those eyes. Amazing. Hello, Anne-Marie. Anne-Marie is just wondering how close Stefan and Scott were when they found Q. Now, I'm not exactly sure how close they were, but I do know that they had a good look at that carcass. And I don't think he's moved much further than where he is now. And Stefan also said to me that he heard the bush growl. I love the way Stefan describes things. He's got a great understanding, well above average in terms of how the bush works, and also has a great way of interpreting it and explaining it. And he was saying he heard the bush growl. From us to the kudu, or to the carcass, we'll just have another look. 30 meters, if that, we can show you quickly. This is the tree that would have been growling. And there's the carcass. Brian's just going to show you around that side. So I'd say about 30 meters, that's about 30 yards, close to the same distance. And that's where they would have been at some stage when they heard the growling bush. And he also, keep in mind, he was just letting them know that, listen, I'm over here. I don't want to confront you unnecessarily. And that works well. So good communication both ways. Look at that face. Just look at that face. Well, sort of linked together there, Rena is just asking, if we're close to where those hyena were earlier. We were following some hyena earlier, and we thought they were maybe, in fact, I even speculated on the fact that it might be Q's kill, because that's where we last saw him 2 days ago. But we're a bit further away from there now, and also in the opposite direction from where the hyenas were heading. So if they were following up on a scent, it was maybe an old kill from this guy, meaning a small kill from a day or two ago, or maybe something else. Who knows what it was? But not this, which is very lucky for him, because, as I said, the biggest challenge here for Q is, now that he's got this big prey, I mean, he's got the equivalent of he could eat this for 5-6 days and not even finish it. But his big challenge will be to hopefully avoid discovery, because that carcass is too big to get up into a tree for him at the moment. So he will just have to hope that vultures don't find it, because if vultures find it, then hyenas could find it. Keeping in mind, let me just think, distance-wise, not very far from here, less than a mile, I would say about not even a kilometer, probably 800-900 meters from here. So let's say a 3/4 of a mile or so away, there's a hyena den. So lots of hyena activity in that area, and I would think that if not this morning still, you never know what could happen. But certainly by this afternoon, this evening, tomorrow morning, there's going to be interesting interspecies activity around this carcass as well. So this is a story that we will definitely follow. But what a great way to get into it. What a great way to discover this. Starting with the guys on foot, right on ground level. Right there we can feel and smell and touch, and even feel in your heartbeat itself what's going on around you. Going to reposition slightly. How's that? While this guy is taking a bit of a nap, and you can see breathing not that fast but relatively fast, because the belly is a bit fuller now. We know that Q has had a good eat already, so the belly is fuller, meaning it pushes up against the diaphragm, meaning he can't take as deep breaths as he might have otherwise, so that's why he's breathing a bit fast. Having a nice little nap as well, because he's going to feed again later. He wants to make the most of this meal while it's his. I was just thinking again, I've experienced this almost in a nostalgic way a number of times over the last few days. When I've been sitting with leopard, and I just remind myself, not that one ever forgets, but I've just been reminding myself of how absolutely amazing it is to sit like this. We are 6-8 yards away from a beautiful male leopard. He's totally unperturbed by us. We're seeing natural behavior. I have to pinch myself every now and again and just remember again that this is amazing. What we're experiencing right at this moment, potentially on these drives, is just phenomenal. Strange, I mentioned it earlier on the drive as well, but today has a distinctive slight wintry feel to it, more so than we've had up until, well, today. So when we arrived, it was still mostly summer, and it has certainly felt like in the last 24 hours winter has arrived in a very pleasant way. We've got this nice sort of soft warm sun on us, leopard sitting next to us, exciting stuff to look forward to for this afternoon. But for the moment, we are just going to quickly jump over towards HT as well. I know that he's as excited as we are to hear about this. This is one of his favorite, actually this is his favorite leopard. So you're going to go say goodbye with HT, and then we'll see you back here just now to see if anything happens before the end of drive. See you now.
Folks, we just left those zebra because they walked into the vegetation. We went around a little bit further, saw some nice impala and so on, but I wanted to stick with Pete because Pete is with quarantine. How fantastic is that? To finish off this morning's drive with that beautiful, beautiful cat, Q. That is my favorite leopard in this area. I just want to come back and say hi and say bye. It's been a really nice drive this morning. Elephant to start off, really beautiful just to see that hyena as well going up that track. That was a beautiful shot Andrew did there. I really enjoyed watching that hyena walk off into the distance. and then a little bit of a walk through Buffelshoek Dam. It was really good. I enjoyed it this morning. Lots of lovely colours and senses that we went through. Bit of zebra action going on, which is great because I haven't seen zebras since I've been back, and always great to see. So a really nice morning. So the zebras, when they walk off the road, we don't normally follow plains game or animals like that onto. I might just take this little road down here. It's quite a nice little road, one of my less trodden paths. So we just let them go off into the vegetation. But they're a beautiful creature, and the Birchall's or plain zebra is the one that we were with then, with that shadow stripe, as we said. Many of you know lots of this information, but as I say, I always say the simple stuff up front, because you never know who's just joined us. If it's our first safari for some people, it's great to get all that information back out. Just remind us of some of the simple sort of facts about the animals as well. So we've got a question from Sherry in Colorado. Sherry, great to have you with us, and thank you for joining us. Your question, do male zebras spend their time in solitary situations, or do they hang out in bachelor groups, or what's their sort of behaviour when they're not in mating season? Well, Sherry, the interesting thing is that all of the above. Really, I've seen them solitary. You just see one animal walking through the bush. They are quite territorial in their herds when it is mating season, but you do often see bachelor herds as well, particularly in mating season. So they really do have a bit of quite a complex social structure, lots and lots of gesturing and body shaped and facial movements, particularly facial movements. Like most people, anyone out there that works with horses will know that you can really tell a horse's temperament from it. It's how it's holding its posture and how it's moving its facial features and ears, etc. So same with zebra, lots of lip movement, but particularly the males, they will fight ferociously in mating season, but I've seen them in all different situations, Sherry. Solitary, which is obviously a little bit less favourable for survival, in a bachelor group, and in mixed herds outside of breeding season. So thank you, Sherry, for being with us this morning, and a great question. So we're just arriving up in the quarantine area now, and I think I'm just going to give you a final farewell, and just to say thank you very, very much for being with us. I'll just pull onto this road here. Thanks so much for being with us. It's been great to have you this morning. I'm going to hand back over to Peter, but we're going to be out this afternoon for our sunrise drive here on Wild Safari Live. It's been fantastic to be with you. We'll see you just now.
What was that? A noise that he picked up, maybe? Well, guys, welcome back just for the last part of the drive. Beautiful view here of a mostly semi-sleepy leopard. He's got a full belly. If you've maybe just managed to join us for the last minute or two of the drive, we would have a fantastic morning. Beautiful. Yeah, that's what predators do well when their bellies are full. Stunning morning. A little bit cool to start with at Ahina, a couple of ellies, lots of things happening, but I really think the highlight for this morning was, again, as I said earlier, on different levels even, but we've started with the walk again. So that in itself is exciting. It's such a special way to experience the bush. And Stefan and Scott, they managed to track down and find this amazing leopard. Not only that, he's got a kill close by. A very impressive kill at that. The size of it, he's caught a young adult kudu female, so I'm guessing at around, as I said earlier, 120 plus kilograms, maybe even as much as 160. So very close to at least 2 times, or probably closer to 3 times the body weight of this leopard. Oh, actually, maybe even more. I'm trying to guess. He's probably not weighing much more than 45, 50 kilograms at the moment. Yeah, so I'd say probably 3 times his weight. So very impressive hunt. Now, I know it's been talked about in the Twitter feeds as well. Guys, what's going to happen with this kill is open to anyone's guess, but I would certainly think that the hyena clan in this area, keeping in mind we've got a clan of hyenas that live in this area, they've got their den, they've got their offspring, their babies in this area. They have to find lots of food because of that. They have to be aware of other predators in the area because of that. So that's a big dynamic in this area at the moment. So if I had to venture a guess, I would hope for this leopard's sake that nothing discovers this carcass, but it is in the open. There's not much cover around, even as much as bushes goes, never mind a tree. So I would think that during the day it's not impossible that vultures will spot this. This will be the first guys to sort of zone in on this. And if vultures find it, from that might follow that you might find... Sorry, I just think I just saw a snake. I don't know, it was quick. Either way, if the vultures find it, that might then lead to other predators finding it. Very good possibility that this guy's brother is in the area, Kunyuma. That would be fascinating if he was to join here. Not impossible. Very possible that the hyena clan in the area might find it. That would be not traumatic or dramatic or catastrophic or anything like that, but it would influence obviously big time what's going on here, because Q might lose his kill then. I heard a lion roaring this morning in this direction. There should be lions somewhere in the area, also a possibility. So many things that can happen during the course of the day, and possibly in the course of the day, but likely late afternoon. That's when things get active. That's when scents and smells travel well. So as you might guess, we will certainly be spending time this afternoon with this beautiful leopard and this whole story, seeing what happens with the kill, seeing what else comes in here. Is it maybe another leopard? Is it maybe another predator? There was a little group of buffalo around earlier as well, so much to look forward to. And of course, having the guys on foot out there, you never know what can happen, what they might find, what we might find in the vehicle. So before I talk my tongue into a twister there, it's been a brilliant morning. As always, guys, let me just sit this way around. My seat here. It's been a brilliant morning, and you know, leopard like that, can't ask for more. Knowing he's going to be here this afternoon, almost certainly, can't guarantee it. There's a carcass right there. Lots of excitement ahead of us. From myself, Peter Pretorius, Brian, always nice to be in the vehicle with you, and all of us here down in Djuma. Thanks for joining us. We will see you for another live safari this afternoon. Bye-bye.